cut again. Man, this guy we got today been in the game over 30 years. Done been a realtor, done flipped houses, you name it, he done it. None other than Julian Dozier from J. Dozier Realty. Y'all show some love. Show some love. So, Julian, say what's up to the people, man.
Hey, everybody. It's good to be here. I appreciate Chris for having me on. It is a pleasure, and we'll get into my background a little more in depth, but realtor is just a piece of what I do.
Okay. So, let's get off into the background. First of all, where you from?
Really from El Paso, Texas.
Okay, from El Paso.
Yep.
What is some of your background? What's some of the stuff that you did before you jumped into realty?
Yeah, so originally I owned and operated a staffing agency in the Dallas area. So we owned offices in Dallas, Austin, and San Antonio, and that was probably my introduction into the entrepreneur game.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was back actually September 11th, which was yesterday. That was kind of that's where I kind of jumped out of the business. So a lot of people are talking about Corona, all the challenges that took place, but it really, if you kind of look back, that's when originally that was my pandemic moment.
So I forget exactly the year, but I was cutting in Denton, and we met. Came into the shop, man, and you pulled up in the Benz. You know what I'm saying? We like, ooh, this guy here. You like, man, I just need a cut.
Yeah.
And man, I was open.
Yeah.
And I say, man, shit, I got you. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And it's been a pleasure. It's been a mentorship, even during this process of me opening up a shop. I shot him the contract and everything. He looked over it for me and, tell me, it's pretty standard, what I'm saying, for leasing. And just been someone that I just called on, for any type of information. I always been there. And one thing I love about you is that you are, you don't mind giving back. And what I mean by that, you got a lot of people that they reach a certain level, and you can tell us how much you worth. We're gonna edit that out. We're gonna edit that out, you know what I'm saying? Can you be my landlord? Can you buy this building?
I probably can get close to it.
Okay, well that's all we need to know.
Matter of fact, I might know the person who owns this building too.
Hey, so say less, you know what I'm saying? And so with that being said, all the speculations, everybody that worked at AP's barbershop and wondered how much he worth, he can buy this building.
Yeah.
But nah, man, but you've been so down to earth, you've been so cool, man, laid back. I mean, when you come into the shop, it's not an aura that I'm this guy. You come into the shop and you talk about business, you talk about real estate, and you talk about things. It's not with the mindset or the attitude that you were showing off, but your whole vibe was that I want you young fellas to get into it. I want you young guys to get into it. And what was special to me is that when I sent people like Rashad to you, Roger, I sent them to you. You took them guys. You took them under your wing, and you really just poured into him. You know what I'm saying? Rashad was telling me that he was frustrated with a contract because he didn't understand it. And you sat down with him and you walked him through the contract and helped him understand what he was getting himself into, and not only that, man, he's doing his own flips now. He's doing his own thing now, man, and it's just beautiful. Because one thing that I love about the industry is I love connecting people. You know what I'm saying? I'm a barber, so I meet a lot of people, so I love connecting people together, man. And like I say, I'm just of the mindset, man, if we can all help each other, you know what I'm saying, then we'll be a whole lot further than where we is. And I want to thank you for that, man. Thank you, because it means something.
Yeah.
When you can say, call this guy, and I can hit you, hey, somebody call you, and and you pick up the phone, you're a busy guy, man. You're a busy guy. You're a busy guy. And you just to take that time for other young black men that's trying to do some things and take care of their families, man, and for you to see a bigger picture and an overall goal, you know what I'm saying? You're not a selfish guy, man. So what I want to ask you, like, that spirit, that attitude, where did that come from? Of reaching a level but not letting that level reach you.
Yeah. Yeah, so before we go further, man, I have to shout out to you, because I got to let you know, like, I've watched your growth through the years, and I've watched you, man, and it's honestly, that's where I get my gratification, is watching your other young brothers grow, sisters as well. It's always good to see. It's good to see you all, grow into what your true self is all about. So it's good. It's been good to watch your journey, man. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
It's good. So honestly, I mean, the answer to your question is always staying in touch with my background, where I grew up from. I came from very humble beginnings. So always knowing, like, staying in touch with where I came from. I grew up in El Paso, Texas. I predominantly 95% Hispanic, community. I mean, it was myself and a couple of my friends are only blacks in the community. So you always kind of had to stick with each other, and it always kind of, growing up in the church, that was probably my closest contact to my blackness. So that never left me. I mean, I always had to fight for my space in this world.
Okay.
And
so growing up, what was kind of like? Oh, I ain't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
So growing up, like, what was some of the challenges that you had?
Well, I didn't know my identity.
Okay.
That was the biggest thing, because, like I say, growing up in a predominantly Hispanic community, the only ties to my blackness was church.
Okay.
Yeah, so always trying to figure out, like, where I fit in this world was always the struggle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coming from El Paso, and I believe El Paso is pretty small, right?
Mid-size.
Mid-size.
Yeah, it's definitely not Dallas, but it's not.
Okay.
It's not a little small town either.
Okay, and you also military,
right?
Right. So, what type of exposure? Like, what did you have to do to transform your mind from that setting?
Yeah, so there was several aspects. Number one, like when I went into the military, you kind of thrown into this pool where a lot of people, they know their identity, they're secure with their identity and everything, and so you kind of. I had never been exposed, like, white people. That was something new to me. Even being around a lot of black people, that was new to me. Okay. My comfort zone was being around Hispanics, but what I found out was, and I didn't realize until later in life, I had to adjust who I was to try to fit into their box. Yeah, so it was just trying to figure out, like, where I fit into this big puzzle, trying to find out where my piece was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I want to touch on something else too. It's just because I'm your barber. Well, you was adopted, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I was adopted, so I found out that the backdrop on that one. I was 28 years old when I found out. So I was blessed. I don't say anything less than that. I was blessed because my story could have been it could have been totally different. But I was fortunate enough to have some wonderful parents. I did not, I didn't find out until I was 28, and it was a certain situation where I had been questioning. I kind of knew all along. I knew something wasn't right, and I think my mother, the situation, my mother was on her deathbed, and it finally everything kind of came out.
So you lost your mother at a young age?
Around the same time, yeah.
Okay. So, wow. Do you think that was contributed to something like the identity?
I'm sure, yeah, because there was always a disconnect. Like growing up as a kid, I didn't have baby pictures and stuff like that, so I'm asking questions. Like, you're asking questions all along, but you're not mature enough to understand the answers that you're being given. I wasn't mature enough to question the answers that I was given all along. So, I kind of left well enough along until I got older. And, that unfortunately, that was, I was 28 years old when I started really pressing the issue. And, that's kind of, that was my rebirth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there a side of you that wasn't like, you got a biological side, right? And you was like, man, like, was there ever a question like, I'm not like?
Yeah. So my entire, from age, I guess 0 to 28, that was always the case because, I've got that risque side. I'm kind of, you see the suit and tie, but
yeah, because I remember. Let me stop this for a second. I remember. You coming to the shop one day and you like, yeah, man, this white boy ran me off the road. We were running, man. We pulled over and you got out your car. Yeah, y'all ready to.
Yeah, he pulled a gun on me too. Yeah, but I've got the other side. So people, they try to size me up based on my exterior appearance, but the reality is like so once I was 28, so you have to think this is before the internet. You didn't have Google and all that. So at that time I had my staffing agency and I had this sophisticated software where you could pull up people's addresses and everything like that. But you had to load like disk. It was 100 discs and you had to load disc by disc. Anyway, I was able to track my biological mother down within just within a couple of weeks. So my biological mother and I have been reunited since then, since I was like 28 years old. Wow. The missing piece was my father, and so I'm probably the ultimate skeptic. It's like St. Louis. You got to show me. So. My sister from on my mother's side bought me one Ancestry.com. She bought me one of those whatever ancestry match, and I was able to find my birth father through that process. And so once I met my father, I was able to figure out like where that fireside came from as well. My mother has it too, but I was able to connect all the dots, and then I was finally able to be.
What was that feeling like finally meeting him?
Man, yeah, it was a long process that I think I probably downplayed it for years, saying it wasn't that important, but it was because I didn't know who I was.
One of my pops was locked up for a while, and I really, for me, when he got out the pen, I really, he went to my grandmother, but something in me, like, man, just let him live with you for a while. And he did, and you do kind of learn a lot about yourself, because he got locked up when I was like 4 or 5 years old, so, and then I was 19, 20 at the time when he got out, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot that you do learn about yourself when you kind of connect with your father and connect with like that bloodline, you know what I'm saying? So what was, what did you gain from it?
Well, I'm finally, so I met my birth father. It's been maybe 3 or 4 years now, so it hadn't been that long. But now I feel comfortable with myself.
Okay.
You know, whatever my responses are to certain situations, I understand why. Because, you know, whether people want to admit it or not, the reality is a lot of your habits and everything are tied there's genetic ties, yeah. So, you know, when I met my mother, there were certain habits, certain characteristics, or ways that I acted that were connected. I mean, there was no and ifs or buts about it. They were directly connected to her. When I met my father, I understood, you know, why I respond to certain situations the way that I do. You know, there's certain things that were directly connected to him. So now, finally, you know, it's over 50 years, and I finally feel whole.
Okay. Was there like the question why?
Always. Yeah. I mean,
that conversation.
you have to. I think it's natural. You know, that's a natural response. The reality is, like, you know, you want to know why is it that I wasn't good enough. You know, the reality is that, you know, my mother was 15. My father was like 5 years older than her. What I found out, you know, by not responding, I was angry at first when I first found out, because you want to know, like, why didn't you keep me? You know, what I found out was, you know, it really was not my mother's choice. You know, this was something that was, I know, you know, my grandparents, they had, you know, there were quite a few kids, and more than likely they probably just couldn't handle another kid. You know, it took, you go through all the, you know, anger, sadness, you go through all the different emotions. So once you're able to accept that, then it you know, it is what it is. My mother, it just wasn't her option. You know, she was 15 years old. My father didn't know. He had reached out to my mother. He wanted to marry my mother, but my aunt at that time hung up, and it wasn't, you know, the dynamics were not the same. You couldn't just email somebody, and you couldn't do all of that stuff. So the reality was, you know, he had reached out, he called, my aunt answered the phone. She told my father that my mother didn't want to talk to him anymore, and that was it. Yeah. So I found out, you know, my grandmother on my father's side, she wanted me, but it was just a different environment at that time.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. So the good thing is, like, I have brothers and sisters on both sides. They've been raised knowing that they had a brother.
Wow.
Yeah. So
when you connected with them, they were like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we kind of, I mean, I don't feel like, you know, there's this gap. I mean, almost, you know, one side almost 50-year gap, other side almost 30 years, but I don't feel like we've never been connected.
Yeah, and I just think, and it's just to anybody that got like any parental issues or any issues with your mom, your dad, you know what I'm saying, especially if you connected with them.
Yeah.
If it's worth it, you know what I'm saying, like, get that closure, because I asked my mom some questions, and, you know, people are, you know, I just believe people, you know, with their upbringing, with their understanding, with their knowledge, you know, I think they do the best they can, you know what I'm saying? And the things that she shared with me, I probably wouldn't have had my kids in that situation either.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely, you know, get that closure, you know.
Yeah.
Because we a lot of us dealing with, you know, parental issues, you know what I'm saying, mama issues, daddy issues, you know what I'm saying, and we wondering why things affect us in certain areas. And it's one of them things about really starting to understand yourself. You know what I'm saying, and get to know yourself a little better when you start having those real conversations, because you're not a child anymore, a lot of us, you know what I'm saying, we're grown, so we can go to them and like, hey, what's happening, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's important, you know, like since I found out, like, I grew up watching Jerry Springer and all that stuff like that, and I'm, you know, you are not the dad and all that, you know, that, I mean, so I thought that was foreign. I thought that was like, you know, I definitely grew up feeling like, man, that would never be my story. And little did I know, yeah, it really was. But what I found out was, the like when kids are adopted or have some, a past, it's much better for parents to be upfront and honest with the situation. Most people that I know that I've met along this journey that grew up knowing that they were adopted, they had no desire. They didn't really have a desire. I mean, maybe they wanted to close a certain chapter in their life, but they really didn't have this desire to hunt their parents down. They were comfortable with the environment that they grew up with. So, I just say, as a kid, as a parent now, looking back in retrospect, there's certain secrets we keep from our kids, and we think that we're protecting them. The reality is, we got to be upfront and honest. We got to, we owe that to them, because they don't get a choice on coming into this world, and they don't get a choice on how they get to live. So, it's our responsibility to make sure that we're upfront and honest with them.
Yeah, and I learned that in any relationship, man, honesty is the best policy.
It is, yeah.
With your wife, with your husband, with your friends, kids, brothers, sisters, man. Just be upfront and honest.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised what a person that truly love you can accept if you upfront and honest with them. You know what I'm saying? It's that deceit factor that fucks shit up.
You don't have to hide nothing. That's the whole thing. And when you're an open book, especially with your significant other, man, it's freeing when you're in a relationship and you don't have to hide nothing. Like, I don't know. People can question all they want to. My wife can go in my phone anytime. I don't have nothing to hide. So I don't have to cover nothing up. I'm not gonna say that's always been my situation. That hasn't definitely. It took me 50 years to get to that point.
Shout out for 50 years. Y'all been married 50?
Huh? No. I'm saying 50 years old.
What?
No.
Ooh, you look good, boy.
No. It took me 50 years to learn this. Yeah, it was a lesson that it took. So I'm just telling wherever you are in your state of life.
Okay.
Be patient. Be patient, because the reality is you will grow into the person that you want to become. For me, it took me this long. Well, it wasn't quite 50. We've been married longer than that, but
how long y'all been married?
We've been going.
Let me guess.
You're gonna get me in trouble.
Guess. It's 20 plus.
No, actually no. No, so
I don't know you.
Yeah, so no, we've actually. I mean, it feels like 20 plus, but we've been married like 7 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was married, 20 years in my previous marriage.
Okay.
And I was married before that as well. So I've been married my entire adult life. Yeah. So you're talking.
I'm sorry for it late. I should have known that.
No, it's all good. This is open. I told
y'all,
you.
Man, y'all look like when y'all just got that vibe. Y'all been together forever.
I'm now connected with my soulmate. I can say that.
Wow, I'm talking about, man.
Yeah, because now I feel like a grown man now. Yeah. I don't have to. There's no facade. I am who I am. She is who she is. We accept each other for where we, for what we are.
That's beautiful.
And and not only that, it's like I don't have all the other challenges. Before you got kids, you got a whole lot of stuff going on. So when my wife and I, when we met, our kids were grown out there. It was just the two of us.
Yeah.
And so I can say minute for minute, I've spent more time with this woman than probably all of my marriages put together.
You know what I mean? How old are you?
54.
So y'all met around?
I was in my at the end of my tail end of my 40s.
Man, come on, man. Y'all, it's still hope.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
You ain't found your soulmate yet. It's still hope.
No. So I will say. So a lot of people don't know the backdrop of my story. I've been. I work for the IRS. I've been there 27 years. getting ready to retire. I'm just trying to get to 30. I own, I've owned like countless of business. I currently own several businesses, but even at 54, I'm still talking about like what else I can accomplish in life. I know that I haven't even, I don't feel like I've reached a milestone yet. I still feel like I have so much more to do in this life. I'm still, I feel like I got to pour into my kids, into my grandkids, anybody that you send me, anybody else. I mean, I feel that is my mission, my goal in life. And so, I feel like I'm just getting, man, I'm just, for all the young cats out there that feel like 54 is old, I feel like I'm just getting started.
Damn.
Yeah.
Come on, just getting there.
Yeah.
Just getting there, man. I'm trying to see what did I want to ask you. So tying identity, you kept saying identity, and I think a lot of us, you know what I'm saying, when we have identity crisis, we kind of dibble dab in a lot of things. We hang with this crowd for a minute, we hang with that crowd for a minute. We just kind of trying to find ourselves, right. You know what I'm saying? Someone that's wrestling with identity, what was one of the first steps that, what if you're wrestling with identity, what was one, like, you remember, like, a pivotal moment, like, this is who I am. You know what I'm saying? And you begin to really, because one thing, when you start to look at yourself and look into your identity, you have to accept a lot of things.
Yeah. So
what moment in your life when you was like, man, shit, I'm cool with who I am?
Yeah, I can't, like, I don't know if I can go back and identify like a specific period in my life, but I can tell you, it's like, I think it just comes along with maturity. Mm-hmm. The reality is you're gonna evolve. Hopefully people are gonna evolve through life. And so, you're gonna find yourself at different places in life, and you're either gonna make a decision that this fits with who I am, or it doesn't. And the other part of it is, like, over time, like at 50, I don't give a shit about what people think. I'm just kind of living, I'm doing me. And that's the reality. I don't really care at this point. I don't feel like I have anything to prove to anybody. I care very little about people's opinion about me. I am who I am, and either accept it for what it is or not.
Did you search for identity, or it just kind of evolved over time?
I think that's a lifelong. I'm still discovering myself. I'm 54 years old.
Because a lot of people try to search for it. So you just say
So for the longest, I'm trying to figure out, like, spiritually, I'm trying to figure out, like, what is it that I was always, I've always asked the question, what is God's purpose for me on this earth? The reality is, I think it's real simple. I think I was overthinking it for years, and the reality is just, my spiritual gift is being, influence, motivate other people, and help them find what their position is in this world. Simple. And be comfortable with that.
Simple.
Yeah, it wasn't. I'm thinking, oh man, I'm supposed to be this, this expository or whatever. I felt like I was supposed to be in front of these big crowds, speaking these motivational speaking these old motivational speeches, trying to get crowds fired up and all that. No, that's not my gift. The reality, like I'm out of, that I'm like a fish out of water right now. This is, but the reality is I can touch one individual at a time, and I enjoy doing that. My kids, well, not all of them, but I do have my son. They'll tell you that I'm a teacher by nature, not classroom, but I don't mind. I enjoy taking individuals one by one and showing them that there's you can tweak this in your life, and I mean, you can change the dynamic, the whole trajectory of what your family dynamics were.
Wow. So, man, I just had to think on that for a second. A lot of people like, why you pause, man? Because I just got to think, man. Damn, let me process this shit.
Yeah,
This is heavy, man.
Yeah, I literally, I think every person that I come in contact with, I try to pour into every individual that I come in contact with. So it might be something simple. We might have a phone conversation. You picked up, and I'm gonna try to leave. By the time we end the conversation, I'm gonna try to leave you with a little nugget. Something that'll help improve your life. Yeah. And that's I just do it one conversation at a time.
Yeah. So just live, just be inspiring.
Yeah. And that's my gift.
We're trying to be something in Pacific, but just live.
Y'all stop trying to figure it out. Stop trying to overcomplicate the process. Keep it real simple, and whatever it is that you're good at, pursue that. Whatever, honestly, the easiest way to know if you can do it without being paid, that's when you know it's a gift. It's real simple. Yeah,
get them hand claps.
Yeah.
And them hand claps is the truth, man. I'm sorry. I don't think I'm gonna ever get used to having them hand claps on command. Shout out to Smallz Exclusive Art Studio. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, I gotta shout out to AllOva Media. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let me get a joke. Is pig pussy pork? I'm sorry. Okay, man. I think, man, this one of them interviews, man, is just really touching, man. Because I'm sitting here and I'm trying to, but I'm soaking stuff in.
Yeah.
At the same time, man, because to me, you should have seen me, man. I was in here. I told my old lady, I said, I gotta get down there. I gotta wipe shit up. I gotta make sure, the OG coming shit.
No.
You know what I'm saying? But nah, man, it's just an honor, man. Like, we really appreciate this because it's not a lot of cats that'll do this for us, man.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying? Because what you're doing, you're coming into an environment, you're accepting what we got going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're not judging us. You know what I'm saying? You're just feeding us.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's never been that situation. I'm always in touch with where I came from. So I wasn't raised around money. When I grew up, I thought I was rich. My mother was an educator. My father worked for the housing authority. Man, I thought I was so rich. I thought we would just bleed money. But the reality was,
y'all paying bills.
Yeah. It was real humble, and I didn't know. My parents never, I was never raised to look down on people. I was raised to think everybody was on the equal playing field. It wasn't until I got older and I started seeing that, that's not the reality. But I've always maintained, my upbringing is, I've always looked at people the same. It didn't matter if you were at the top tier, and I know, I've got friends I aspire to be at the level that they're at, and I've got other people that are still striving. But it doesn't really matter. We can all be in the same room, and we can break bread together. We can have a drink together. It doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Man, shout out. I got to get to some of these questions because people want to know.
Go ahead, man.
They want to talk about real estate. I've been pushing real estate, but this done turned into so much more. But let me say this too. You also say that you work for the government. You got several businesses. Like, what drives that tenacity?
Yeah. So the reality was I don't believe in leaving anything on the table. So like we talked about earlier, I was military. I had quite a few years invested in the military, and after September 11th, my business, I started struggling then because people don't realize, but September 11 caused a lot of businesses to make decisions. You had to make decisions on where you want to go the next day. It was either, you're going to starve or you were going to survive. Pre-September 11th, I didn't have an education, not college education. What I had hustle. I had a master's degree in hustle. There was nobody that could tell me that I was not going to be successful. And a matter of fact, if you told me that I was going to be unsuccessful, that I couldn't make it, I'm more than likely, I'm more than likely I'm going to make that happen. That's my personality. I'm stubborn when it comes to when you tell me that I can do and or not do certain things. So I think me being successful before September 11th was just a matter of proving everybody wrong, everybody that doubted me. Yeah. But what I realized was I didn't have the education. If I had the education, there were certain things that I probably could have prevented. I could have put in place that that overrode the hustle, and it could have complemented each other. So September, after that happened, and I had to sell a lot of my business off, I went back to school. And then I realized, I was like, well, I've got all these military years. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna capitalize on that time, and so I went back and worked.
You could go for free, right?
Well, yeah. So I had Uncle Sam paid for my education. I went to school for free. So I graduated college with no debt whatsoever.
Real quickly.
Yeah.
Real quickly. For someone who's thinking about military, what would you say?
Well, and so that path is different for everybody. For me, it wasn't a matter of
Let me say for a black man, a young black man going into the military, even having a thought, what would you say?
Yeah. So the thing is, I can speak personally, and I've had, on my stepson that went in military, and he's still in right now. He's going to retire pretty soon. For me personally, it changed my life. It was the best decision for me at that time, at that stage of my life. I want to say 18 years old. I had a baby on the way. Growing up in El Paso, I remember I went down to a McDonald's to apply for a job, and they were asking me if I could speak Spanish. Even though I could, I was fluent in Spanish, I just refused to believe that, I live in the United States of America, why should I have to speak Spanish to work at McDonald's? That right there, I went down to the military recruiting station. I told them to sign me whatever. I didn't care what kind of job it was. All I knew was that I could not afford to bring a baby into this world working at McDonald's. So I joined. I told them, I said, give me whatever job you have. I just want to go. I don't want to have anything to think about. I think within a couple of weeks, I was gone. I didn't have time to think about it. I was 18 years old. It wasn't like it was this, this comprehensive thought. I was trying to make the best decision for myself at that point of life. So, that being said, you fast forward now, and if I had to talk to a young man, at that time, so when I was in military, it was only, if you saw one combat tour, that was probably a lot. That was kind of the norm. But now these kids, they go 4, 5. It's way too much. So I would never, this day, I would never encourage any of my kids to go in. What I say, if you don't have the maturity, then it might be a good, fit. It might be worth pursuing, just so you can have some time to grow up. Get some job experience, find a career, it gives you that, it gives you some structure and helps you find yourself, so that you don't have all this idle time in your hands. But otherwise, if you kind of have a general clue of what you want to do in life, I say, either whether it's college, trade school, you got to find something to do. You got to find something else to do to make sure that you're productive in society.
Cool. Man. Okay.
Really? Well, that's good. I'm glad.
Yeah, man, 'cause
I'm glad.
I'm trying to really get into some of these questions.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, hit me up because and so the real like me, above anything, above businessman, above anything else that I pride myself on being a father. Now my kids they'll argue that, but I can say like since 8th grade, I knew I was going to be I wanted to be a father. So that's the only, but so my wife is the same. She is a nurturer. She's a mother. So we're adopting kids and we're trying to pour into, like I'm you all's generation. I'm excited about because I see,
and that's what I always felt from you. You had that genuine love and connection.
Yeah.
For the next generation. So anytime anybody asks me anything about that, I know who to send you to because I told you too, man. You got to start the academy because we can run the champion. That's one of them, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't want to shit on nobody. Ain't nobody gonna see it. Don't nobody watch us no way.
Yeah, they do.
Ain't nobody gonna see it.
Don't underestimate yourself, man.
We run a champion real estate school. It's several of them out there, but you pay them like your money, and they don't give a fuck. Like they don't care about it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying for you, the J Doze, academy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like you going to school, and then not only is you going to school, but you connected with a real OG in the game, man. That love you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it twisted. They love you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And want to see you succeed in the game, man. So,
yeah.
I think it's a go, man.
Well, like I say,
I want this. I want that academy.
You always go back and ask yourself, can I do this without the monetary gain? Of course, we all want to eat. At the end of the day, we want to make a living, but can you do it without it being tied to money? Mm-hmm. And if you can answer a yes to that question, whatever that is, then you know that it's a passion. And I encourage any one of you all out there, pursue it. Pursue it as hard as you can. Yeah.
Okay. Whew.
You gonna be all right, man?
I'm be all right, cause you heavy, man. I feel this in my soul. So, first question, real estate. How do you actually get started?
How do you get started? So, the question is broad, simply because real estate encompasses. It's not one thing. So, if you're talking about like a real estate agent, then obviously you have to get licensed. So the first thing to do, you have to go get your license, and then you align yourself with a specific brokerage. There's 1,000 of them out there. If you have questions, feel free. You can put my email address in the chat or whatever.
What's your email address?
It's Julian at Dozier, Dozier group.com. So you can feel free to hit me up with that. But the big thing, if you're deciding to be like a real estate agent, you have to get licensed first and foremost. So that in Texas, there's two pieces to it. You have national, and then you have the state license portions of the exam that you have to pass. Once you do that, then you have to set yourself up under a broker until you have enough experience to become like independent, and then and once you've done enough time and you can become an independent agent, then you don't have to be assigned a broker. You can become your own brokerage and run things however you want to, as long as they align under the laws and authorities of the state of Texas. The other aspect of it, which we also do, is under USA Cash Homes, real estate investing. Now, for that part of the business, you don't have to be licensed. I mean, anybody can jump into real estate investing, and you don't. It's not regulated by the state. So that's a whole nother aspect of it. But essentially, what that is the simple concept is you buy houses dirt cheap, fix them up. You can have the option. You don't have to fix them up. You can wholesale them. They have wholesaling, which you can just sell it to another investor. But the whole problem, you want to get it under contract, dirt cheap, and then you sell it to somebody else. You don't even have to sometimes you don't have to put money into it. Yeah.
Here was a question, and what I did, man, I told people, I was like, man, what questions do you have about real estate? Because I got a guy coming on, and I just had them to type notes in my phone. So, do you have to have money and credit?
So no and no. So so what I will say is credit is always going to help you. It's going to help you to elevate a little bit quicker, but you don't have to have money. So like I said before, that's part of real estate investing. If you're going to do real estate, if you're trying to be an agent, obviously there's fees that are involved. You have license. There's fees for a license, fees to go to school, license. There's fees to be under the broker. You have national fees like that. On the investing side, you don't necessarily have to have money. So the whole concept is if you run into somebody that's willing to sell their house dirt cheap, and it's a gamut of different situations that would create that scenario. You put the house under contract, and you turn around and sell it to another investor that has the money. So you don't necessarily have to have money, and you can walk away with. I mean, it's a nice.
What do that mean?
It's a nice living. What's that? Okay. Oh, okay.
Y'all have to do that. So if a person has been passed down real estate, what do you recommend they do with it?
Yeah, so, and it's funny, right before on my way up here, I had that conversation with a friend of mine. He inherited his mother's house, and he was trying to figure out, like, do I keep it and use it as rental property, or should I turn around and sell it? And the reality is, what I explained to him is real estate is it shouldn't be personal. It has to be transactional. So because you can make it personal. That's what caused me to get into the real estate game. My father, I inherited a house from my father. I knew how he cared about his house. If I rented it out and I had a tenant in there that tore the house up, it was going to be an issue. And so what I did, I ended up selling the house, but I fixed it up before doing that. And I put too much into the house. Usually the way that you rehab it is dictated based on the market that you're in. I put too much money in the house, ended up sitting on the market for over a year. So it's never personal. It always has to be transactional.
Okay. Next question. What mistakes are most common that black people make when choosing a home to purchase?
To purchase?
Can y'all hear me? Because sometimes I talk low.
Yeah, just when you ask them, just kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess the biggest thing is what I would say, and it's not just us, it's everybody, is don't go house broke. And what I mean by that is don't buy more house just because the mortgage company says you qualify for X amount of dollars. You want to still maintain a certain lifestyle. If you like to travel or whatever else, you want to be able to. You have to have a house. So I'm going to say everybody should own. If you have the ability, or if that opportunity is presented, everybody needs to own something, but don't make it a situation, don't create an environment where like that ownership, that home, like literally it is everything. I mean, everything, every decision that you make is based on that home. So, get what you can afford that's comfortable. Obviously you want to get the best deal that you can qualify for at that time, but don't exhaust all of your income. You don't want your whole income to go into that home. You want to be able to maintain your lifestyle comfortably. You want to be able to you want to have a nice house that's gonna grow in value, and I think that's it's not just black people. It's everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
How can people shopping for good APR rates without hurting their credit score? How can people shop for the APR rates without hurting their credit score?
Okay, so that brings, see, that's my other business. We own this Credit Score Envy. We own credit repair, restoration. So, okay, so the reality is, are we out?
No, I was hitting the applause.
Oh, okay, so yeah, so we own credit score
Own
Envy.
businesses out here, y'all.
Yeah, but the reality is what people have to know. So first and foremost, you need to know what your credit, where it stands before you start applying for loans and everything else. You can go on myfico.com. That is probably the most accurate, and it gives you the different lines. Like if you're applying for a car, house, or whatever, it tells you where your credit score is. So I'm just saying it's cheaper to go ahead and go to MyFICO, get a subscription, find out where your credit stands, and then you can know what adjustments you need to make at that point. If you have a 500 credit score on MyFICO, if you've gone on there, you're not getting a house. That's the reality. So it doesn't really, it serves you no purpose to try to reach out to a mortgage or apply for a mortgage. Now, if you're in that 620 range, okay, you're in there. So at that point, it becomes trying to find out like what the best AP, that would go back to the question, what is the best APR? What I can tell you is mortgage companies differ. They're not one and the same. It's not a one-trick pony. You have to shop we have to shop multiple mortgage companies to try to find out what the number one incentives they're offering and what the best APR is. Oh. So that's issue on that. So
okay, how much modification can a realtor do before choosing a home? Waiving appraisals, etc.
Well, okay, so it really, that is going to be dependent, and if I'm understanding correctly,
you can read it.
Yeah, I think I read it before. I wasn't 100% clear, but if I understand it correctly, I think what they were trying to ask was, can you make modifications before you get a loan, or is it something? I wasn't 100% clear. What I can say
I think
is,
this on like if you're a realtor, how much modification can a realtor do before choosing on a home?
Well, and the realtor don't do anything. So again, like it depends on what. Realty, again, is loaded. You've got the investing portion of it, and you have the agent side. As the agent, I have, a fiduciary responsibility to whoever the buyer is or the seller, and I can't make any modifications as an agent. Now, if you're talking as on the investor aspect, I can go in, I can make as many modifications as I can afford. I can go overboard, but typically the rule of thumb is you look at the neighborhood that you're investing in and allow the neighborhood to dictate how much work you're going to do on the property. Okay. On the flip side, if you're like a buyer, you have to. It depends on what kind of loan you have. So some lenders will only loan. They have certain criteria. So if a house is in certain condition, you might not be able to get a loan for that house. So the best thing, I guess the best recommendation I can say is talk to a mortgage agent, and they'll lead you down the right path.
Okay, and I believe this is another realtor question too. Mm-hmm. How long does it take for you to receive the commission off a home?
So the commission is paid out at the time of closing. So usually, it really depends. I can tell you before pandemic, we were getting loans closed for anywhere 15 to 20 days. Mm-hmm. It's slowed down now. And a lot of that is really, again, it goes back to mortgage companies. They're not all one and the same. So if you are working with a mortgage company that can turn those loans real quick, you can get them done within 30 days. Then you get paid in 30 days. At the time, whenever the closing happens, that's when you get paid your commission.
Okay, this is a realtor question for you. Personally, I think, how long have you been a realtor, and did you have to work under a agency when you first started?
So as an agent, I've been in, this is like my 12th year. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, you have to work. You have to go in as an agent under a broker once you first get licensed. The only reason that I got licensed was because, like I told you earlier, I inherited my father's house, and I paid an agent. I didn't realize how much money it was going to cost me to sell the house. I found my own buyer, but I still had to pay the agent. And I was like, that'll never happen again. I went and got my license, and that's where we are now.
Okay. When did you decide to branch out on your own, and how was that experience for you?
Yeah, so I think, I've been, like, the USA Cash Homes has been in existence since 2012. That is the real estate investing side of the house that we have. J. Dozier Group, I do, the majority of my business is investing. I do the real estate mainstream transactions, working with buyers, sellers, commercial items like that. I've been doing that since, I want to say, like, maybe close to 10 years now. So, but it just that I guess that was the answer to the question, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
How was the experience for you?
Yeah, the experiences. I mean, it's been great. I get joy out of both ends. So I find that on the investing side, I get to exercise much more creativity. As an agent, it is, this is the law. You have to follow the law. There's strict guidelines. Not so much with the investor side. The investor side, I can be as creative as I want to be because it's not regulated by the state.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What information you wish you was told at the beginning that you can share with anyone that want to become a realtor or in the process of becoming a realtor? What information that you wish you was told in the beginning?
So,
the realtor process.
Yeah, so again, you got mainstream real estate as an agent, and what information I wish I was told was, don't try to learn everything overnight, because you're not going to. You just need to learn the information good enough to pass the test, and you'll learn as you go. You cannot be an expert in this industry, because it's forever evolving. The laws change all the time. The people change, so you kind of have to adapt. You have to adapt to the situation that's presented to you at the time. As far as the investing, the most important thing is what I say is allow whatever area that you purchase in, allow that to be the barometer of how much money you're going to put into that house.
Okay, this was Rashad.
That's my mom.
Huh?
That's my man. What's going on?
This was Rashad. I hear Rashad and ask Rashad, I need some questions. So Rashad, and I'm thinking this on the investment end. He say, what do I need to get started?
Okay, so the biggest thing, so Rashad is, he's an investor, and his situation, I hope he doesn't mind me sharing, but his situation was he was just timid about getting out there. And so for him, what I say is, it's like, if you sit on the edge of the pool, you're never gonna learn how to swim. You got to jump in the water before you can experience anything, or before you can know what you can do or what you need to work on. So for him, it was I just had to encourage him to get off the edge. And, once he did, obviously, there's no looking back. I don't know what flip he's on right now.
Rashad went from wearing J's to boots. I'm talking about cowboy boots. Like, damn, Rashad, you go put the J's on.
So the thing is like, don't underestimate yourself. You have to be your biggest advocate. A lot of times people can get in your ear, try to tell you what you can, what you can't do, but you got to be your biggest advocate. You got to be your own cheerleader sometime, and you just got to get out there, put yourself out there.
How much capital should I have?
You don't have to have zero. If you're talking about real estate investing, you don't have to have any capital. Like I said, there's tiers. that you can where you can progress on the real estate investing side. The very beginning of it all is wholesaling. Again, like I was saying, wholesaling. You find a house, you put it under contract, and you sell it to somebody who has the money. So you don't necessarily have to have money to put it under contract. You need to afford, have some ink in your printer and be able to print a contract out. But that's about it.
Okay. What it is? How can real estate benefit your family?
Well, I can.
No. Damn, I got to go for that. Oh shit. What mistake did you make when you first started in real estate?
Yeah, and so I've said before.
Two.
Yeah, I've said before. The biggest mistake that I made was overspending on a renovation. I spent too much money than what the neighborhood dictated.
Okay. How can real estate benefit your family?
Well, it can benefit because there's no limitation. You don't have a cap, and I'm talking about real estate investing, but you don't really have a cap on how much money you can make. Not only that, just there's a freedom that you can't experience, going to punch a clock, a 9 to 5 clock. So, if you want freedom for your family, if you want to try to change your family's income structure, I mean, any wealthy person that you talk to, I guarantee you they have their hands in the real estate game.
Okay, what is JV and what is the benefits to starting a hat with?
Okay, so I know we're getting ready to wrap up real quick. JV simply is joint venture, and all that means is that you're partnering. Maybe you don't have the money and you know somebody, or there's somebody out there that does have the money. You're partnering with them. So you go out, you acquire the contract, you have somebody on the other end that has the money, and you guys are kind of working together. Maybe they have the money, you can go in and do some of the work. So it's just a partnership. It's a real estate terminology for a partnership.
All right, cool. Man, we ain't gonna get a chance to get to all the questions. We might have to do a little part 2 or something one of these days. But man, Jay Dozier, realtor. AllOva Media, Smallz exclusive art studio, smallzexclusive.com, AllOva Media. How can we reach you?
Well, you can reach me on. You can find internet. I'm on Facebook, J Dozier Group, Dozier, USA Cash Homes. We got Credit Score Envy. We got. I mean, there's other businesses, but anyway, hit me up on J Dozier Group.
And we're gonna drop all this in the
there you go.
That's this, man. And this is Smallz signing out. We with Jay Dozier behind the cut. You know what I'm saying? Creative, unique talent. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And we out.
They tell me life can wait.